What's up, everybody? M across the board with you again this week. Ashley Miller, Eric McDowell, Sean Martin. What's up, boys? How are you?
I just realized my world has been tipped off its axis. You're down low.
I know, I'm confused.
Yeah, what am I doing up here?
I'm
It's
a hot
okay.
mess right now.
We like changes.
Well, be aware that the ads will cover you, so say goodbye before the ads at the end.
Guys, we have an NBA champ, as we figured we would by this time. We finally have a series after a 2-0 lead by the Avs. We've got what we think is a series. NHL award winners announced. We got a lot of weird stuff going on in the MLB. More near no-hitters. I'm not sure I've seen so many near no-hitters in like a 1 or 2 weeks time as we have in the last 10 days or so. And we'll have a little bit of fun with some other MLB stuff. Got some stories and we'll hand out some lists of things of our favorites, but I don't want to give it away yet. So you want to start NBA with Golden State Warriors, and is this a dynasty or what? That seems to be the question. Is this a dynasty?
We are tipping the hat to Ashley. She picked the Warriors in 6 and Steph is MVP. So whenever any of us nail something, which is frequent, right? We got to tip the hat. I had the Warriors in 7 and Sean is going to get the NHL one. So
yeah,
it is a dynasty, isn't it, Sean?
Hope so. Yeah, they came out in game 6, got off to a bit of a slow start. Once they got rolling, you know what the thing about the Warriors is? Look, a lot of guys can shoot threes in the NBA, okay? They do it in a different way. They don't necessarily have to set their feet. They don't have to do anything. They get the ball and release it from any angle, from anywhere in the court, and they are so good at it. It's very difficult to defend. And that's the appreciation I've had for Curry and Klay Thompson. I didn't care for the Durant era because I thought he was just jumping on board.
Yeah,
kind of funny like that. But yeah, the Splash Brothers, they have been a joy to watch, and Jordan Poole's the third man in now with that shooting. And I don't know how you defend that. And they lit up the best defensive team in the NBA and had that 21-point run and game, set, match.
Steph Curry was the main reason I had him taking this thing. It's not brain power. He's the best player in the court. He's a future inductee in Springfield. And in that game, he pulls down 7 defensive boards, which was the team high, and had only 2 turnovers in 40 minutes. Yeah. 2 turnovers in 40 minutes. That's something that some of the Celts could have learned from. And he's an immortal. He takes 4 titles in this span. And during his career in the NBA environment, it's amazing because so many things can happen in such a long season with injuries. Look at what happened to them a few years ago, right, Ashley?
Yep. Yeah, listen, this is a team that was at the bottom of the NBA. And I say for good reason. Like, I know no excuses, but when none of your best players are on the floor, you can't be expected to win. Well, that worked out for them because they got top draft picks, turned it into Jonathan Kuminga, and guys who are really going to help them in the future. And then, oh, by the way, Jordan Poole emerges as this 6th man of the year type player who, like, it's unbelievable to think that guy's not even starting. This is a dynasty no matter which way you cut it. 4 titles in 8 years. But imagine if they were healthy. And I know that's always like, imagine if they were even partly healthy. Klay Thompson didn't play for 2.5 years, basically. And Klay Thompson is not the Klay Thompson. We didn't see the Klay Thompson that we've seen in past years. But him being back and being on the floor, he's got the veteran presence. He's been there, done that. And he did enough to, be the sidekick, be the Robin to Batman and Steph Curry. And we knew if the Warriors won, it would be because Steph Curry was the best player on the floor. He was the best player on the floor. He got his finals MVP. Does that change where he ranks for you? Because this has been all the talk. Hey, he doesn't have a finals MVP. Does this change where he goes on your Mount Rushmore? For me, he's in the top 10. I'm not sure he'll ever make it into the top 5, which is sad, but
no, it's still, I would say 10 to 12. I haven't really sat down. When I start rolling through names, I love Steph Curry. I love what he's done for the game. Here's my burning question before I get to that. What do you have to do to get your number retired at Davidson? They just announced they're retiring his number recently.
Yeah.
Why wasn't that done 5 years ago?
I was going to say,
Yeah, the Mount Rushmore thing, like, can you rank Steph over Wilt Chamberlain. I had different
No.
players, different eras. You can't.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Kobe Bryant. I don't think so because I love Kobe's defense.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say 10 to 12. He's without any disagreement. He's the greatest shooter in the history of the game. There's more to that goes into that when you start talking about, and look, it's no slight saying the guy's 10th as opposed to 8th. We're talking about the greatest to ever play the game in a game that's got the best athletes that play. But yeah, I don't think so. Good for him. He got it, but it doesn't change the all-time for me.
Well, there was a window because of the injuries from Milwaukee and Toronto before that, but that window has now been sealed completely shut. And if you're Chris Paul, you're saying, what if? But from the Celtics standpoint, the magic number was 22. They had that many turnovers in the last game, the Warriors clincher. I mean, we talked ad nauseum about the turnovers, and it just caught up to them. You just can't do that. You lose those possessions and the points produce, and it was the Achilles heel throughout the series without a doubt. 1-8 when they had 16 or more turnovers. Actually, you just can't win without holding on to the ball.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the games that they were good, they were really good. They held on to the ball, and the games that they lost, it's because they were horrific in terms of turnovers. They were 20 or more turnovers. How many times? And all of those were losses. You said it. You can't give possessions away to a team that is then just going to shove it down your throat or shoot threes right out of the, in transition. Steph is the greatest shooter of all time. For me, it's funny because, it makes sense why people don't want to put them on their Mount Rushmore. But for me, it's the same reason that most people don't want to put LeBron over Jordan. Like, I don't want to compare the two. I don't want to compare Steph to Wilt. I want to go by around a Mount Rushmore by position. And if you're talking a Mount Rushmore of shooters or point guards, he's on the Mount Rushmore for me. He's never going to make that leap because he doesn't do enough on the basketball court. I say this knowing exactly what he does, other than be the best shooter in the world and be maybe the best ball handler in the world. He doesn't play enough defense for me. He doesn't do the other stuff that it takes to be an all-time great. Some of the stuff that Jordan did defensively. So, yeah, I just don't feel like if I'm creating a Mount Rushmore of shooters and a Mount Rushmore of point guards, he's on it. But when we're talking all-time great NBA players, that's where it gets dicey because you've got one per position. Of course, he's not going to be on there.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's not a slight, but yeah, he's got his value and he has his place in history and it can only get better. Yeah. When I think about Rush, I think we did an exercise at the start of the year. What team would I put together? Yeah. Right. And on that end, he would be on one of those top teams. You need a shooter like that. So, but no, that's the hard part about it. You can't compare him to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You can't compare him to so many guys, but you got to give him his due. I mean, I still marvel that they won that game when he went 0 for 9. Yeah. That I kind of didn't feel too good about sticking with the Celtics last week just because I'm stubborn, but that was a problem. That was a big problem.
And here's another thing, Eric.
Go ahead.
I don't feel like people are talking enough about Steve Kerr. This is a guy who won. Listen, I understand he wasn't the best player on those Bulls teams. He won 5 titles as an NBA player. He won 4 titles now, so far. That number will probably go up as an NBA coach. The man has 9 rings. He's about to fill 2 full hands. And yet, we've talked about him for all of the good reasons about how he's been outspoken and he's, put himself behind causes and all that. But, the man has 9 rings.
That's a great point.
No, and you know what? And he likes it. He was behind the scenes with Chicago. Yeah. He didn't like the press, soft-spoken, just perfect guy to coach. And people back then said he'd make a good coach. Work ethic, all that. Never a complaint, never a problem. And then when they hired him, you talk about some people thought it was a reach. Well, let me tell you something. When you get a guy like that and you talk to a lot of people on a hire and do your homework, you may hit one out of the park, and the Warriors did. And they hit it out of the park with Curry. A lot of questions back then about that. The guy was transformational. And if you get a top pick in the NBA like that and you get it right, unlike when they got Todd Fuller when I was there, you're going to have a trajectory. But I remember when the Spurs had David Robinson hurt, and then they were dead in the water. And guess what? They got Rick Pitino wasn't happy, but they drafted Tim Duncan. So the NBA is unique in that point. But if you get that top pick right, and he is a transformational player, and you get a coach hire like that, watch what happens. And it's all about homework, and that new ownership, just an incredible job with the arena, what they've done to take that franchise from a dumpster fire now to the top of the mountain.
Eric, is this cool for you to see just because you were with the team? And listen, there's a whole generation of players who are of kids who don't know that the Warriors were ever the worst team in the NBA. And that wasn't all that long ago. Like, people weren't going to watch games. There were no players you could name playing for that team. There are kids who have no idea that ever happened, and it only happened 20 years ago. So what is this like from your perspective to see where it's gone from to and then back up to again?
Well, where we were, I mean, we were in an arena that they tried to renovate. They were in Oakland, which, and I know it's painful with Shawn, is a city that has really gone downhill, not just the stadium as well. There was no even discussion of San Francisco. Didn't seem to be any room to build an arena in that city near the waterfront. But they even had, it tells you how the season was going, because the newspapers, the Examiner and the others, pulled the writers off in February, didn't even travel. Wow. All the home games weren't even on TV. Place wasn't packed. It was just a very difficult situation. But it is exciting to look and see what it has become. And I never would have envisioned it. You always thought it'd be always the Lakers and the Spurs at the time. But again, it's the owner and the GMs with the right hire, the right drafts. Yep. And the NBA is a small roster, Shawn. I mean, you can really transform things well with the right leadership, but it's not like you've got to draft 20 guys, 30 free agents or whatever. So everything has gone the right way. Never could have seen it happen like this.
One thing to think about is Steve Kerr is how long is he going to do this?
Right.
I found it interesting. Kenny Atkinson took away his acceptance of the Charlotte Hornet head job to stay an assistant in Golden State. And my first thought was, did Kerr pull him aside and say, hey, look, I got maybe one more year of this. Why don't you hang in there and you take over this team next year?
I would hope he's not done. He's still too young for that. But listen, he's accomplished all that you can accomplish in an NBA lifetime. He can put his name atop the Mount Rushmore if he wants to win 2 or 3 more titles. But I just don't know, like, why? You know what I mean? At what point is he like, all right, like, we've won 4 times or 5 times, whatever it may end up being. Does he go out early, enjoy the rest of his life? Does he go do something else? Does he go TV? Into activism? Does he go into television? Any of that stuff is possible. He doesn't need the money, obviously. But yeah, at some point, you've checked off all the goals. Like, what else is there to achieve when you have 9 NBA titles and you've won at every level?
But hasn't he had some health issues too?
Yes, he has. Yes.
Okay, maybe it's taken a toll on him. I mean, like, he'd be awesome on TV.
Yep.
In the studio or on the court, or even the activist part. His name is out there. Use your pulpit if you think it's going to do some good.
Yeah.
That's what I thought of. Maybe it's just maybe the game takes such a toll on him that we don't see.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't know.
You see it in college where if you're doing so exceptionally well, then the NBA goes after you. You don't see it the other way around, except in pro football and college football. So it's not about challenges. It's about, I've got a damn good thing going. How many teams have ownerships like this? A sparkling new arena, the fan base, and free agents that want to stay. Never mind having to go hunt for free agents. The free agents now want to stay. So as long as he has fun and there's no pressure and his name will go up in the rafters, I think it's fabulous. I do want to touch on the Celts for briefly. As wrap up for me would be Brad Stevens had the best line. He told Jason Tatum to get rest. Okay. He's a superstar, doesn't want to sit. He would like some of those moments back. The Warrior defense was excellent and our offense was stagnant. They were tired. They were young. We understand first time, but people need to understand now, even as a champion, your off season is about 10 minutes long. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you need to rest as the champ and also as the team that lost. It's a long, long season and it's almost July already.
Yeah, no doubt. Listen, they're young. We've said this, though. We talked about the experience. People are going to say, oh, maybe it doesn't matter. Listen, at the end of the day, it does. 130 games of finals experience to 0. Now they've got 6 games of finals experience. So it certainly matters, but this will make the Celtics better, I think. They need a healthy Robert Williams, and maybe they need a little more. They need Derek White to be what he was toward the end of the season, all season long. I'm not sure if, as constructed, they're good enough to win a title. I think they are, but they need the Jason Tatum, the all-star caliber Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to show up together on the court at the same time in order to be that team. And that didn't happen in this finals. It happened in the postseason. It didn't happen in the finals.
Yeah. It was a good run. You know what?
Yeah,
now,
no doubt.
The hard part for this group, as good as they look, is the East has now become so good in the last couple of years that to just survive the Eastern Conference, you know, wasn't that long. It was 2-3 years ago. The Western Conference was like, oh my God, look at all these teams. It's flipped very quickly, and that's going to be the Celtics rated. Look at the Bucks; they second round, they lost to Boston, but it's not easy to get back.
Yep.
You know, it'll serve them well, but it's still not easy because there's always another team out there that might just have it. It's their year and it's not yours.
Yeah.
Well, and if Giannis gets help and if Butler get help, those teams are right back in it.
And I almost said the same thing. I think for me, we were looking at odds on the other pod that I do, and I just thought, you know what? I think I'm going to lean Bucks just because if that team is healthy, they did a lot without Chris Middleton this year. If that team is healthy, I think they're back, and Miami as well. The Lakers are in a free fall. The Clippers, who knows what Kawhi comes back as. The Utah Jazz is now without a coach. The Nuggets haven't proven they can do it on the biggest stage. So for me, the East is just kind of automatically the team that is going to bring the Celtics, the Bucks, the Heat, you know, and then it's the Warriors. So we'll see.
And yet the media is still picking the net.
Yeah, the Nets. I know. And that's the thing. Oh, by the way, I didn't even mention the Nets. I don't know that Kyrie's even going to be on the Brooklyn Nets next season. It doesn't sound like it from everything that we've heard, but
how could you possibly give that man a contract guaranteeing between $41 and $51 million a year from the term?
Yeah.
That, you know, he gets upset over things that aren't related to basketball. When we had those unfortunate riots, and that was terrible. He couldn't play. He couldn't go to work. That's not how it works. I mean, Stephen A. Smith has never been a favorite of mine, but boy, I'll tell you what, I like watching him talk about Kyrie, and he is 100% right. If you're giving that guy more than a 1-year contract at a time, you deserve to get hosed.
Yes.
No, he doesn't deserve
because he's never any place for more than 1 or 2 years.
No.
Do your homework.
No. Even then, sometimes he just doesn't want to go to work that day.
Yep.
It's not a team thing. I'm not even getting into the vaccination stuff. I'm talking about you just can't count on the guy. So speaking of people who you can count on, this summer, if you're looking to buy tickets, how's that segue? Your favorite band, sports team, venue, or more, remember to buy your tickets at SeatGeek, SeatGeek. Visit SeatGeek.com to search for the event you want to buy tickets to this summer. If your total ticket buy is over $50, use the promo code GOZ. That's GOZ, GOZ, to get $20 off your purchase. Any ticket purchase over $50 from SeatGeek.com, use this promo code GOZ to get $20 off your order. Save some money and enjoy the summer by using SeatGeek.com, promo GOZ.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Used SeatGeek the other day. I texted you.
Yep.
We used SeatGeek the other day. I didn't specifically use it, but our cousins are coming in from out of town to New York, and we're all going to see Kevin Hart and Chris Rock. They're doing like a whole tour in New York City. So we're going to Jones Beach. Used SeatGeek to purchase our tickets for the first time. Just so happened they had the better deals than Vivid Seats and StubHub and all that.
I'm going to be down there too for a show.
Oh, where are you going?
Will Smith.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
Can we slap him?
Yeah. I can't wait. My guess is he doesn't bring it up, but you know Kevin Hart will.
I'm sure.
Which will make it better.
Oh, sure he will. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going in July. I'll let you know how that is.
We head into the ice now.
Wait, before we head to the ice, just a reminder, the Albany Empire back at MVP Arena Sunday, June 26th, this Sunday. Buy your tickets today at albanyempirenal.com or by calling 518-714-2200. Extension 1.
Sunday afternoon matinee.
All right.
Now, Shawn had Colorado, and I still think it looks good with his pick. But the second game blowout, Ray Ferraro put it best. They were skating like they were on rocket fuel. It was incredible to watch. They were so dominant with a capital D. Shawn, you've talked about McCarr. He looks like he's on rocket fuel. There was one play where he just burst up center ice. Bobby Orr was not that fast. And he looked like Tom Cruise in the Maverick movie we just saw. But hats off to Tampa because many teams would have been down and out. John Cooper is Steve Kerr-ish, okay? Mild-mannered, okay, on the outside, probably a bit inside, no panic. Stamkos, a fabulous leader, and they get off the plane, they get back into the sun, they get that home crowd, and they put themselves right back in the series. You talk about Steve Kerr, John Cooper, one and the same to me.
I don't think I can adequately explain this, the rationale behind it. I think the worst thing for the Avs was that they won 7-0.
Yeah. No,
yeah, the head.
I don't disagree.
Not so much their head, but it more got Tampa. Tampa's in a veteran group. They've won 2 in a row. You're almost better off beating them 4-3 in overtime like they did in game 1 and before you just go out and just absolutely bury them. And then game 3, the Avs get a first goal and it gets turned over on that. I can't stand that they review offsides calls on plays. That drives me nuts. Unless it helps the Bruins, then I'm happy. I think if the Avs gotten that goal, maybe it'd have been a little different game. But they got Tampa's attention, and Tampa responded right back in game 3. I still think this is a series. I don't think it's over. I think the Avs are the best team, but still, I go back to what we said last week. In goal, Kemper scares me.
Yeah. I think what I had kind of said was I'm taking the team from the West, no matter who it is, against the team from the East, no matter who it is, because I like the offense over the goaltending. The only thing they need from Darcy Kemper is to not lose them the game. He doesn't have to win it for them, but he can't lose it for them. Let me tell you something. He lost it for him. He had given up 5 goals on the first freaking 21 shots of the game.
Yeah.
You're not going to win if that happens. And some of it's not all on him, but you can't give up 5 goals on 21 shots. He had faced fewer shots than Vasilevsky and had given up far more goals. You do that, you're going to lose. Colorado has the ability to score, but you can't force them to score 6 or 7 goals a game.
We said, I think last week, that Kemper had to improve. He's not going to steal you a win, but just give you the quality start, like 5 innings at a pitching performance. Instead, we see him once again in what I think this is the most uncomfortable exit of a game in sports. You're skating out of your crease for what seems like 10 miles to get to the bench in front of the world. You've got 300 pounds on your back that feels heavier, and you're trying to escape to the hallway, that tight little hallway, and hide and pop on the cap in the back. It happens to pitchers, but that has to be the most uncomfortable thing in sports. And frankly, he deserved it, and he was not alone in the performance, and the coach said that. But they have a quantum, a dilemma right now, and it'll be interesting to see who they put in the net. If they go the other kid, he's 6-0 in the playoffs.
Yeah, my guess is they go with the backup, at least to start and see what happens. But I don't know. This is a guy who the first 2 games he was good. He was really good. I just think if he gives up even 3 goals in a full game, that's 1 a period. I still think the Avs win, which you're forcing your team to score 4 goals. 4 is a lot in hockey. I think anything over 3 is a lot. So even if you give up 3 goals, I think the Avs have the firepower to win any game you give up 3 or fewer. It's not asking so much.
I think I would ride him still.
Yeah. With
a real quick hook tonight. Before it can get, 2 goals in the first couple minutes, get him out of there.
Yeah.
Nikita Kucherov's supposed to play tonight.
Yep.
They saw that earlier today. Braden Point,
no
maybe
point
not.
Though, I think.
Yeah. I think tonight's going to be the best game of the series. I don't think it's a stretch to say the winner of tonight's game wins the series. I think that's very possible. And I say that
Yeah.
because if it's 3-1 Colorado, they got 2 out of 3 at home.
It's over. Yeah.
It's going to look
Yeah.
good. But if Tampa
Yeah.
can win this game tonight, Tampa can win in Colorado. They lost the first 2 and lost the other game by a touchdown and the extra point.
Yeah.
But they can win there. They can win anywhere. That comes with the experience. So yeah, it should be a fun one.
We're not seeing quality goaltending on either side, frankly.
No.
And the numbers show it because these teams have combined for the most goals through 3 games in the finals since 1982. Think about that.
Wow.
So the one thing I really like is when they cut away to the fans of the city. It looks like a rock concert.
Yeah.
It reminds me, I saw Elton John July 4th in Philadelphia. I was probably about 4 city blocks away, but I did see him somewhere out there. And it's great to see in Denver and to see Tampa with all the fans that also get to bask in this. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
but is this all
cool.
is this all on the goalies, or are we just looking at 2 exceptional offensive teams with incredible talent?
No, I think it's a little bit of both. Listen, Vasilevsky was really good in game 3. Really good. He gave up 2 goals on 39 shots. That's really good.
Yeah.
He looked a little more like his old self. He was not good in Colorado. Gave up soft goals, gave up weird goals, just goals that he should have had that he didn't. And then made some of the exceptional saves, which you were like, yeah, but he's not going to give up 7 goals very often. No. So yeah, I think he was as good as he had been prior to in that game 3. So I thought he was really good. Kemper just wasn't so good.
Well, Shawn, I agree. I think it is on a lot of people, and the coach even said that. We lose the team, we win as a team. And when I see defensemen turn their back and a guy scoot around the corner, when I don't see any back checking and a pass can go back into the slot to a guy that's wide open, no offense, these guys are getting tremendous quality scoring opportunities, frankly, because there's no solid defense in front and there's no back checking. These guys are waiting near the blue line to create. You got to come back and help.
Yeah, you talked about Makar looking like he had rockets on his skates. Nathan McKinnon is due for a bust out. He has no goals in this series, and he's got wheels. I mean, people can't keep up with him.
Yeah, no doubt. McKinnon, Defenseman of the Year. Norris Trophy winner. Not a surprise, right? Not a surprise.
No,
hey, my boy Palat. How about Palat? Okay, he's got 10 goals for them. He's so fun to watch. I said that before. And he's creating scoring chances all over the place. So hats off to Czechoslovakia. Give them a shout out for Mr. Palat. He looks awesome.
And his name always comes up in the big spots. It feels like if they're scoring a game winner, I'm going with Palat.
Yeah. You mentioned Makar with the Norris. That, as much as I want Charlie McAvoy to get his national due, Cale Makar's going to have that hardware for a little while, I think.
Yeah.
He's elite, and he's just a different level.
Although the vote was all kinds of close.
Was it? I didn't see
Roman Josi got more first-place votes than Cale Makar did. Cale Makar was on more overall ballots, so Makar gets the nod. But yeah, Roman Josi got 6 more first-place votes than Cale Makar did. The problem is, and not that I'm not saying this is for everyone, but Roman Josi stopped playing 3 weeks ago. Cale Makar has played some of his best hockey of the season. It's fresh in people's memories. I think that's why we always think, oh, whatever. But this is correct me if I'm wrong, a regular season award. No?
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. So it's always that whole thing of and same with the NBA. I wish they would give these out at the end of the regular season so people aren't critical of, well, this guy in the playoffs, but it's not about the playoffs. So let's just give the awards out at the end of the regular season so people are only taking into account what they've seen so far.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah. Shesterkin, not a surprise.
No.
Won the Vezina, and good for that guy. Never been nominated before, won the Vezina, and then Austin Matthews. That was all kinds of no-brainer.
Yeah, he almost got him there, Shesterkin to the final. You got to give him that. He accelerated that rebuild really quickly with his play.
It's nice the NHL and NBA, they've made these into shows. Why not? Do it in the city during an off day and get the attention of these players dressing up and getting the awards like the NFL started with that super show. It's a lot better recognition than just reading it on the web the next morning.
Right. And not that, some of these guys wouldn't get to go. My guess is Cale Makar wasn't there last night. I don't know that for sure, but I'm sure he's busy in Tampa worrying about other things.
For sure. And, it wasn't announced last night. They announced a couple weeks ago. I think I mentioned it. Patrice Bergeron winning a record Selke Award. Some people in Boston, people I agree with. No, they don't. They want him to change the name of the trophy. You hear that every now and then. But I'd love to see him do it. But if you don't have a trophy named after Wayne Gretzky, you probably can't give one to Patrice Bergeron.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So,
it would have been the Gainey Trophy before him anyway. Right.
Yeah, probably. All right. Hey, we need a read, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for the distraction. My long guy's out front, and I gotta meet him after our show. So. Hey, at Mohawk Honda, the team can find what you're looking for by searching our lot and the entire Eastern Seaboard just for you. But the real opportunity for you right now is either trading in or selling your vehicle. Mohawk Honda buys cars, and in some cases, you may be able to sell it for more than you paid for it. The supply chain is still facing challenges, which creates a selling opportunity for you. And as always, the team at Mohawk Honda will make the buying and selling experience very easy. You know them as Cars with Kern, Trust Trav Landry, Luis the VIP Memorales, CMAC Let's Do a Deal McKenna, Drive with Deanna Cowles, or you can talk to the leader in charge, General Manager Greg Johnson. At Mohawk Honda on Freeman's Bridge Road in Scotia, they want to buy your car. And, as you know, they always go out of their way to please you.
Oh, we're such children. Are we going MLB, or do you have to do a John Stone read before that?
I do have to do a John Stone read as well. So before we get to the MLB, thankfully we're not going to make it all Yankees again. That was tough.
No, I know.
Ooh, lots of other stuff.
I know, it was awful. Anyway, summer is here, and you can feel the heat here in upstate New York. If you want to stay cool all summer long indoors, call John Stone Supply in Troy. Ask the team at John Stone Supply about their high-efficiency central AC systems and ductless mini splits. Goodman, Fujitsu, Westinghouse are all in stock and at great prices. You need someone to help you install a new system? John Stone Supply Troy can help with that too. Give Tom, Kev, James, or Bird a call, and they'll help you put you in a cooler place this summer. To stay cool all summer long, call John Stone Supply in Troy, 518-272-5922, or visit them at 2600 6th Avenue in Troy. Get the new AC system today by calling 518-272-5922 or connecting online at johnstonesupply.com.
We're closer to needing the heat than the air conditioning this time of year in New York, which is sad.
Yeah.
I think we're going back. We'll go back to needing the AC this weekend, but it's a little chilly here these days.
Well, actually, no, you're going to hit some no-hitters. I do want to tip my hat to one guy, and that's Miles McCollus. You're not going to hear about him too often of the Cardinals. This guy was one strike away from a no-hitter, and then a very clean, as an official scorer, we like clean hits to break up no-hitters.
Yeah.
The thing was a rocket ground rule over a diving center field. Jim Edmonds, Willie Mays, can't catch that one.
Yeah.
So hats off to him, one strike away. And, of course, no offense, but the three of us could probably no-hit the Pirates, right?
Pirates are having a good year.
Yeah.
They're having a really good year.
They're playing better.
They're almost 500. They're better than me.
I think it was Cal Mitchell who broke that up. Didn't get cheated on that on that hit. And this is tough because you've got a no-hitter in the ninth. You're playing in because you don't want to give up a single. Like if they're gonna hit it over your head, okay, they're gonna earn it. But you're gonna do your best not to let a ball fall in front of you. When he hit that thing, I'm like, oh damn, he's playing too far in. He's got no chance at that. But again, at the end of the day, you're Michaelis. You just tip your cap and say, you know what, it wasn't meant to be. But to get so close, that's rough. It's rough.
You got to be careful. If you get too many no hitters, they change the rules in mid-season.
Yeah, right. No kidding.
So
we saw a bunch of those guys, though. We saw an Angel. Was it an Angels pitcher or Dodgers pitcher?
Tyler Anderson of the Dodgers got close.
The next night, he went into the ninth with a no-hitter, got broken up. We've seen a lot of that. Shohei broke it up with a triple. Again, not a cheap hit. It's the ones that you like to see. If you're going to get it broken up, you might as well, really get a real legit hit. You don't want to give up a dinker or one that bloops in and you're like, oh,
No,
Yeah.
and I've scored games where I had a no-hitter into the 6th, and it was very difficult. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that.
that's
The Dodgers need that kid, by the way, because Bueller's out for months, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's stressful. I don't think
It-
I'd want. I
It's
don't think
very
I'd want
stressful.
the pressure of scoring and like I'd be like, give up the hits early so I don't have to worry about being the judge of a no hitter or not. Oof.
You make the call the minute you see it.
Yeah.
If you've done so many games, you can't think about the score or anything else.
Mhm.
You see the play, you make the call. Very
Yeah.
rarely do you change it.
Oh. Well, they get help in the majors. They can get it overturned days later.
Yeah.
They can do anything. They can do anything.
Yeah.
Well,
You got
Sean,
more
what
no-nos
about-
to talk about?
What about the Braves, Sean? Because I know how I'm dying to hear what Chris has talked to Ashley. He's probably bouncing around.
The tides
now.
have turned in our household.
I bet 14
got
straight wins. They've
two
won
really good
16 and
baseball
19.
teams.
They cut the lead to the Hot Mets by 5. They're playing a lot like last
Yep.
year. It's not even the trade deadline, and
Mhm.
the number that stands out to me, they're 870 OPS, and they have the third most homers in June behind the Yankees. 39 they have, and the pitching staff solid ERA. Sean, these are the Braves we expected to see, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, Matt Olson had 2 homers last night.
Yep.
If he gets his stroke, losing Ozzie Albies is tough to the broken
Yeah.
foot. But they have so much talent in that
Yep.
team. It's hard to say they're not going to miss an all-star, but they have enough to cover up. Dansby Swanson's having a great year for them.
Finally. That
Finally,
guy started
Yeah.
slower
Yeah.
than slow.
he's been okay
Yeah.
all these years, and now he's really, really putting it up.
Yep.
Yeah, I think a lot of people got off to slow starts this year in an abnormal way. I don't know if it's
Mm-hmm.
the baseball. I think it is. But yeah, they're starting to get it together. I still think they're going to make the playoffs. They're the team, but yeah, I'm a big Matt Olson fan. It killed me when the A's traded him, so I want him to have. He's on my fantasy team. I want him to get it going, and that'll help Atlanta for sure.
Yeah, you said, listen, the Mets have still won a lot, and the Braves have taken advantage because they just haven't lost at all. You know what I mean? When you win 14 in a row, if the Mets only win 9 of 12, you're still making up ground, which is crazy to think. So yeah, the Braves have done a good job of chasing a team that was red smoking hot and still really is in the New York Mets to cut it to 5.5. But closing a 5-game gap in 2 weeks, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So they've done what they needed to do. Yeah, to me, Ozzie Albies, it's not. They won the World Series without Ronald Acuna Jr. last year. So this team will be fine. They are deep. They have pitching. They 1 through 9 they can hit. So they'll be fine without Ozzie Albies. They'll welcome him back whenever he comes back. But that's not an injury that changes the trajectory of a season for this team.
No, I don't think so. And they have enough good young. Max Fried has had a great year for them
Fantastic.
as well. Yeah, they'll be fine. They'll be okay.
All right. Have we ever had a manager of the year that took over in June? Because if Rob Thompson right now could be manager of the year, I think at this point. I don't know how long they keep that going, but they won 9 straight when he took over. That hadn't happened since the 2011 Phillies that won 102, and we know how that worked out. Hard to believe they haven't been in the playoffs since then, but the Fighting Phils, they've gone 15-3 in the last 18 entering our taping. So cheesesteaks for everybody. He's manager of the year right now. Anyway,
I'll say he's only been at it for 2 weeks. Can't give that away yet.
I'm getting carried away like Philly fans.
You know who's not manager of the year? Let me look at there. Tony La Russa.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people that don't like him.
No, look, it was a bad hire. You got a great young team with all this great young talent, and you bring in an old guy. He's older than me, so I can call him that. It just doesn't seem like a good fit. And to that, a couple weeks ago, I was going to make my whiteboard last week, and then even again today. I don't understand. Sometimes managers and coaches think that they know more than the history of the game does.
Mm-hmm.
And La Russa, if you remember, was one of those guys that started batting their pitcher 8th when he was with St. Louis to get a fast guy hitting 9th, saying, well, in effect, I have 2 leadoff hitters. No, you don't. You have a pitcher statistically getting more at bats than your 9th place hitter. that over the course of a year. Numbers don't lie. But he has 2 strikes on Trey Turner about 2 weeks ago, decides to intentionally walk him. Max Muncy comes up and belts a 3-run homer. And it was, to me, and then he was shocked that they were asking him about it.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, are you clueless or what?
Yeah, that's I think the most outrageous part than the incredibly stupid decision. So we started thinking, what were some other bad coaching decisions in sports? And unfortunately, the guy sitting as you're looking at the screen to my right has had to endure a few of them.
Any that stand out to you, Eric?
I have 3, and 2 of them involve
Your own team?
the Old Town team.
Oh, no.
You want me to hit the 2 of those first?
Go for it. They're on my list.
Have at it.
All right. The 2003 ALCS Game 7. That year, by the way, I got to meet Grady Little at a game in Toronto.
Grady.
And I liked the guy, old school Southern guy. And I said, is this our year? You bet your son it's our year. Bowl. Okay. Bottom of the 8th, they had a 5-2 lead. Pedro's at 100 pitches all year long. It's time to get the bullpen going. Jeter doubles, Bernie singles. It's 5-3, 1 out. Hideki at the plate. Grady comes out, and Pedro talks him out of it, okay? He's the only one, Pedro, that believed he was fine. Nobody else did. And so 0-2 pitch. Hideki laces one, doubles to right. So Little would take him out at that point. Nope. Then Posada bloops the double. All of a sudden, the game is tied. Little then comes out to Pedro. All of New England says it's about freaking time, okay? And then Mr. Aaron Boone later homers. They win it. Boston then took Little after the playoffs and took him out.
Otherwise known as the Who's Your Daddy game.
Yes, that led to the Who's Your Daddy, right. The other Red Sox thing to me, a little older, we're up 5-3, ready to clinch Game 6 of the 86 series in Boston. I am at a sports bar in New Hampshire watching this. John McNamara smelled the victory, gets sentimental. All year long, he took Buckner out, okay, put Dave Stapleton in. Buckner was not fully healthy. To the guy's credit, Buckner deserved to be on the field if they won it, but they weren't going to win it because it goes under Buckner. We're all yelling, where in the world is Dave Stapleton? And I walked out of the bar over the bridge into Maine. Case closed.
Did you ever see the 30 for 30 on Steve Bartman? Because they go deep into the Bill Buckner part.
Yeah.
It's a big part of it, and it's fascinating to watch. That was great.
And they don't get there without him. He had a fabulous year, hit over 300, 100 RBIs. He was traded, believe it or not, for Dennis Eckersley, who went to the Cubs and later became a Hall of Fame closer. So
the people that killed Buckner for that play don't realize that if he makes that play, they don't win the game. They go to
extremes.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. I always think, and listen, we can all be super critical because hindsight is 20/20. I get it. So I always give people the benefit of the doubt. Like, I wasn't in that situation. Who knows what we would have done, whatever. But the fact that you're telling me that all year long they were putting Stapleton in,
yes,
that's where it gets me. Like, had they not done that all year long and had Buckner been the guy all year long and he had been healthy, now people can't question you. An error is an error. That happens. But the fact that he strayed from the norm and tried to get nostalgic and sentimental, and then it bites you, that's where you lose people, unfortunately.
Yeah. How about you guys? I've got the third I'll save, non-baseball.
Go ahead, Sean.
Oh, for me, the worst one ever was Pete Carroll in the Super Bowl.
Yep. That's the top of my list.
Yes. Yeah.
And you know what? There's some analytics out there that Marshawn Lynch was not great in short yarded situations.
Who cares?
Yeah. Horse hockey, as Colonel Potter used to
Second and goal.
You have
a timeout.
And he was pounding that Pats defense.
102 yards. Yeah.
He needed 4 guys on him to knock him down. That, the rest is history.
Yeah.
It's history. He throws the ball, Pats win. Malcolm Butler.
I feel like that's probably at the top of everyone's list. I just can't think of a situation where it was like, what is happening? What is happening? You have the guy who people like folklore created an earthquake the way that he ran. You had a timeout. It wasn't like you didn't have a timeout. If you didn't have a timeout, people understand because you don't want to run the clock down, risk not being able to get another playoff, whatever it may be. You had a timeout. You have to run the ball.
Yeah.
How about Brady on the sidelines?
He's probably like,
what? I'll never forget his face. What?
I mean, just hand it to him. You know what? Just hand him another freaking Super Bowl, please. Come on. Yeah, that's at the top. That was at the top of my list too. The other one that came up that I had forgotten about was 2002, Marty Morningwig and the Lions tied going to overtime, wins the coin toss, doesn't take the ball. What in the hell are you doing?
That's a Tony La
You're an
Russa move.
NFL football coach, and you are deferring in overtime when you have to get the first score.
Yes.
It's a Tony La Russa move right there. Reinvent the game.
I would have immediately been like, you're fired. You're out. Get out. The Bears win. Oh, gee. I mean,
I believe in my defense. Great.
Yeah. You believe in your defense. Believe in your offense, man.
You're the Lions. You're not that good. You've never been. You're the Lions.
Like he had more confidence in his offense getting a pick six than he did in his defense getting a pick six than in his offense scoring a touchdown or field goal. Come on. Bad news.
Well, any other things that you can think? I think maybe, Sean, I don't know if you'd agree with this, the Bruin Montreal too many men situation.
Don't.
It's not it has to be in the coaches where somebody may have sent the guy out, Ashley, but there was a too many men penalty against Montreal, which basically just took a knife and went right through.
With a minute to go in Game 7, forget the fact you don't call ticky-tack crap like that. When I'm still upset, and that was 1979.
Yeah, and they didn't have the circles on the video now that would show 6 guys, and they made the call.
It's actually the first time my mother ever heard me swear in anger. I was in 8th grade, and they called the penalty. They scored the goal to tie it. Guy Lafleur with a monster blast from the blue line.
Incredible.
Yvon Lambert wins it in overtime, and I had a table in my room, just a coffee table with stuff on it. And after the goal, it flipped over.
It fell over?
Yes.
And Ashley, I was in a bar, and I was not in 8th grade, by the way, but I was in a bar that went absolutely silent in New England, just in Boston. Silence. You never have silence in a bar.
I wish I had brought that up.
Yeah, to me, too many men on the ice is not on the coaches. I mean, I get it. Like everyone's going to say like you need a disciplined team, whatever. That's on your players. Yeah. Plain and simple, it's on your players. It will drive a coach crazy. It'll drive a coach. Listen, I do lacrosse games. Too many men in lacrosse, same thing. It will make them absolutely nuts because they'll tell you that's just a being here penalty. It's a being in it. It's a knowing where you are, what you're doing, whatever. And if you can't get that right, we've got big problems. But that's on the players.
Yeah, that was probably the worst one for me. I've lived 2 others. One, and I don't have a problem with this one. Tom Osborne going for 2.
It's on my list.
2, and that's what, if he kicks the extra point and they tie, they're going to win the national title. The 2 and 3rd ranked teams that day, Georgia was one, I think. I can't remember the other one. Lost. That's why Miami jumped from 4 to number 1. A tie would get Osborne that title, but I also think that there would have been kind of an uneasy feeling for it. You win. That's the goal. But if you kind of backed into it instead of saying, hey, we're the best team, we're going for 2. I don't know why they threw the ball. I don't have a problem with that. And thankfully for him, he won 3 titles in 4 years, 11 years later. But Bill Callahan, before Super Bowl 38, and this is underreported, but I've seen enough videos of Tim Brown, Jerry Rice, maybe Charles Woodson talking. Bill Callahan changing the Raider game plan on the Friday afternoon before the Tampa game 2 days, throwing away everything that they had practiced that week. Wow. And I think it was Tim Brown that said that was Barrett Robbins, if you remember, went AWOL from the team that day and didn't play in the Super Bowl. He had a mental breakdown. He had some mental health issues anyway. He had a mental breakdown. And I've heard some former Raider players blame that on him because they said the pressure of it. Oh, because he was a center. He used to make the offensive line calls. And some players have said that pushed him over the edge.
Yeah. Listen, I don't blame Osborne. I think at the time I would have been peeved. But think about how often now we're talking about analytics and teams go for 2 instead of 1 because they want to go for the win, or they want to play the odds because if you make it 1 out of 2 times, you're still basically, kicking extra points, whatever. You get the idea. But so I think nowadays it's like people would be like, oh yeah, I get it. That's smart. We're playing the odds. Back then it wasn't viewed that way quite per se. But like you said, a tie would have given him the national championship. So that's why I think it's viewed a little bit differently.
Yeah, but I understand why he did it. If you think that we came to win, you talk about different times. If that game were now, Nebraska would have kicked the extra point, gone to overtime. They had a ton of momentum. They had scored a bunch of points in a row on a big rally. So it's just, again, no overtime. Obviously, you get a different call. Maybe because the game, you're right, Ashley, the game is switching. People are definitely more apt to go for 2. Chip Kelly started that at Oregon. And it's tough to do if you're creative down there.
Yeah.
The worst decision by a coach was Bear Bryant punching a student athlete. How's that? He's a coach, and that's a poor decision, right?
No, Woody Hayes.
I mean, Woody Hayes. I'm sorry. Yes, Woody Hayes.
My mother was at that game.
Yeah.
Ooh.
She was visiting friends and was at that game. She got me a T-shirt for that.
Love it.
Long time ago.
That's awesome.
I don't have it anymore.
Okay.
We only wear no, it wouldn't fit. We only wear Husker red in this house when it's college. That's it.
Fair enough.
No, that wiped out a legacy. We once had a student athlete who won the Woody Hayes Award, and we flew to Columbus, and she got a tremendous award. It happened after that incident, and unfortunately, the boosters that paid for that award were told we can no longer use his name. But just a big stain in a fabulous career.
Anything else?
I mean, I saw Max Scherzer pitch last night.
Oh yeah, how was that?
It was good. I mean, he's Max Scherzer, so anytime. And listen, I'm going to the Valley Cats game tonight to see Kumar Rocker on my night off because I just want to see, watch, enjoy, have a beer, a hot dog. So Chris and I are going to go check out Rocker. But back-to-back nights, I get to see Scherzer and Rocker. Not so bad. Scherzer was in Binghamton playing for the Rumble Ponies on a rehab start. And he was good. Listen, I say this at the end, that he gave up 2 runs. He gave up back-to-back doubles, which scored a run. And he gave up a home run that I think is still traveling to one of the guys on Reading. At the end of the day, the Mets don't care what the stats say. Like, he struck out 6 guys in 3 and 3rd innings. So he had his strikeout stuff. The Mets don't care what the stats say as long as he feels healthy throwing to batters. I think that was the ultimate goal of the game. 7,491 people, I think. Wow. All-time record at the stadium to see Max Scherzer pitch. So this is a funny story. I'm going to tell it because you can't not tell it. So they say never meet your idols, right? Why do they say that?
They let you down.
They let you down. Max Scherzer is not my idol. But I'm sure he's many people's heroes, idols, kids everywhere look up to him, whatever. So I'm going to cover this game yesterday. Roger and I walk into the stadium. We get there early. We're going to be live at 4:40, 5:40, 6:20. So we get there we're rolling in, walking in around 4 o'clock onto the field, going down behind home plate to be live. I think there's no chance I'm going to see Max Scherzer until he walks out of the bullpen to take the field for his start. Like, he will be nowhere. We're walking up past the first base dugout while batting practice is going on. The only person other than like a trainer in the dugout is Max Scherzer. So I look and I'm like, what? Of course you don't think that's going to happen. So we put down all of our stuff, and it is my job to get video of Max Scherzer. That's literally why we are here.
Yeah.
So I pick up the camera. I'm off to the side of the bullpen, or the dugout, sorry. And I put the camera on him. I'm far away, not bothering him, whatever. I put the camera on him. He looks at me and says, Why? And turns his head away.
It's my job.
Why?
It was all I could do to not say, because you're Max freaking Scherzer.
I saw
and
that
you're
coming.
in Binghamton, New York to pitch a game. Yeah, and it's my job. Like, it's your job to throw the baseball. It is my job to shoot video of you. I understand you're not currently pitching, but I'm not going to get any closer to you throughout the whole day. So I'm shooting some video of you. So I knew because he was clearly perturbed, whatever. He was not happy I was shooting video of him because at Citi Field, the same thing would happen. He understands if you're starting at Citi Field, every camera would be on you. SNY was there yesterday. Every Binghamton station was there yesterday. A Syracuse, an Elmira, and an Albany station were there yesterday. Clearly, people care that you're pitching in Binghamton, New York. I wasn't the only one going to be shooting video of you. I just happened to be the first one.
And it wasn't the first time anyone's ever taken video of the guy.
But this is my thing. If you don't get that and you have to ask me why, we've got a problem.
Well,
right?
you know
why?
Why about that is,
I'll tell you why.
This is a bigger thing than pitching in Citi Field. You're in Binghamton in front of 7,461. Right. What was their nickname?
You literally sold the record number of tickets at the stadium, and you're asking me why I'm shooting.
At the Bloodhounds game, whatever their name is. Yeah.
Rumble Ponies.
7,400 rabid Rumble Pony fans come to see him throw a few pitches. Wow.
Without the media, Max, okay, the fans don't get all excited, Max, and they don't come to the stadium, and then all of a sudden, the ownership finds you the money. Yeah, you pitch great, but the fact is, it's media and the fans that bring you the attention, okay? Pedro Martinez made a rehab in Lowell, where I was an official scorer during the weekdays when they were affiliated with the Red Sox, the Spinners. When Pedro was there, he met with some season ticket holders. Yeah. His brother Ramon was there up in the box with us. I mean, we're not asking you to go out and sign autographs, okay, like the other minor leaguers that appreciate it. But seriously, the media is doing a job that helps you, Max, and I know you're watching this.
Yeah. It's just a turnoff. Like, it's such a turnoff. In a world where kindness is so lacking.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you to smile and wave at the camera. I wasn't interacting with you or bothering you. Why do you have to say that to me? You know what I mean? Like, why even acknowledge it? He could have gotten up and walked away and I would have been fine with it. But like, why do you even have to address me? I'm just doing my job. And oh, by the way, I'm doing it for pennies of what you're doing it. Like, and we're not going to compare it, but like, I'm busting my you-know-what every day. And like, you have to make it difficult. I just don't understand. It doesn't need to be that way. It was an unnecessary comment. And it just, to me, was kind of like, well, now I already don't like you. Now you've like made me judge you based on one interaction, which I don't want to do. But now I'm kind of like, ugh, like, why am I here for this guy who clearly doesn't appreciate it, can't understand why he's being covered in Binghamton? Like, I don't know what to say. It's disappointing. End of the day, disappointing.
Shawn, when I was in college, I got a pass to with a tape recorder for my sports radio show, and I was in West Palm Beach, and Dale Murphy is sitting in the dugout. And I'm standing in front of the dugout, and he goes, "Hey, kid, how's it going?" And I said, "Great, Mr. Murphy." He said, and he looks, he says, "Call me Dale. You want to chat for a minute?" Oh, sure.
Great.
Those days are gone. Those are gone, but that tells you the type of people. Some guys are great. Some couldn't care less.
Yeah, but so, and I'll tell this story because I'm not like a inherently negative person. I don't think everyone is out to get me or a bad person, whatever. James McCann was also on a rehab assignment. He's the Mets starting catcher in Binghamton. Got paid very little attention because Max Scherzer was there. I get it. Could not have been nicer. We're on the field during batting practice, and Roger says, he's like, I have to ask. Like, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask if he would be willing to talk. He comes out of the batting cage. Roger says, "Hey, James, would you mind talking to us for a minute? Like, if you have a second?" "Sure, no problem." Comes right over, went back and forth for about 3 questions, might have been a minute, thanked us, walked away, couldn't have been nicer. And then I took a picture, which I tweeted. Check out my Twitter account, @Miller247time. A half hour after the game, I'm leaving the stadium. James McCann is down up against the boards, like past the first base dugout. There are probably 50 fans, and he is signing autographs a half hour after the game.
That's cool.
To me, that tells you all you need to know.
Bingo.
And that guy has signed a very big contract of his own.
All right. So
He's the guy that you root for. And the guy, like, and I'm not saying I don't need you to be doing all that all the time, but just the difference in interactions to me was very stark.
Telling.
Well, I'm glad you did that second, because now we can go to whiteboards feeling good about the world.
Yeah, positive about it all.
Very good.
Who's going first?
Might I go first?
Go ahead.
So Eric said the term "back in the day" just a few seconds ago, and immediately jumped to my whiteboard, because back in the day, I would be glued to the NBA draft. There'd be guys that I've known at their colleges 3 and 4 years. Patrick Ewing played 4 years. I miss that, right? I follow my heels. I follow my college basketball. But when it comes to the NBA draft, I don't know who these people are. Therefore, I don't watch it. I know some of the names from the big schools. I think it's a reality of the developmental league where guys aren't going to college anymore, and the one and done rule, which I just can't stand. It's just watered down college basketball, which is a shame, because back in the day, Ashley, this great Syracuse teams of the 80s, Pearl Washington there, if you're Ronnie Cycli,
yep.
That group, and Ewing and the whole Georgetown thing, Chris Mellon at St. John's. I miss the Big East now. I'm talking about it. Pinckney and Pannone at Villanova. Mm-hmm. It was just so much better. It just made the NBA draft more interesting, because you had some time to get to know these players, latch on to them, become fans of them, and then see where they go. The NBA or the NFL draft, I watch every round, because I know these guys that are going on the 3-day. Not all of them, but some of the bigger ones. It's too bad, but for me, it's lost. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I think you guys might follow it closer than I do.
Yeah, I know first round picks for the most part. And there are fewer guys drafted, but I'm not going to lie. For the most part, unless it's like Syracuse or someone from the ACC that I've seen in the draft for the NFL, I don't know a lot of people, even on day 2 of the NFL draft, because they go pretty deep. It's like a deep dive. They'll draft somebody from Southern New Mexico State or Utica College. Like they do their homework to the point where I don't know most of the guys that are being drafted, even in the NFL. I know Chad Holmgren because he plays for Gonzaga. I know some of the other big guys, but there will certainly be guys who I'm like, who? Who's that? Some of those guys, though, I think are sometimes 4-year players who have done, enough. But like Armando Bacot, when he gets drafted next year, obviously I'll know who that guy is. So yeah, it's maybe a little bit of both. The NBA does a fantastic job of scouting foreign players. Those guys we have no idea about. So when their names are called, everyone thinks, oh my God, how could you possibly draft a guy from France first? Well, they've done their homework. The guys are good. So yeah, I don't really, Fran Fraschilla is great for that. He's very much up on the NBA foreign guys. I don't know any of those guys, and a lot of the smaller school guys I don't know either. So, yeah, it's a product of the one and dones.
Yeah.
But I would be interested to see how many of those guys come from like the developmental league.
Yeah.
That haven't played college basketball, because I won't know them.
When I worked with D1 men's basketball, and it was not a mid-major, it was a below mid-major, we'd occasionally play in some tournaments with some big-named kids, so it was fun to follow, but I feel the same way, and it's the time of year right now. We're not thinking about it either.
Yep.
Ashley, what have you got?
Here we go. I've got Gronk. We've been Gronked again. Gronk out again. Maybe?
Good riddance.
And I'm just sort of done with the freaking New England Patriots and their retirement tours. The former New England Patriots who are leaving and then coming back and then leaving and then coming back. Rob Gronkowski is retiring for the second time, shortly after his quarterback retired and unretired for the first time. So we'll see if it sticks. Listen, he's one of the greatest tight ends of all time, behind probably Antonio Gates and Tony Gonzalez. He's got, I want to say, 15 postseason touchdowns, I believe, is the most for a tight end in the postseason. but it's also the most touchdowns of any position player other than Jerry Rice.
Wow.
So that's pretty impressive. Oh, Sean went bye-bye. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. So yeah, his 22, Jerry Rice had 22, Gronk had 15. Those are some good numbers. He's a likable dude. He's a doofus. He's everything you kind of want your tight end to be. He's a good guy. He's a good representative of your team. But like, let's hope this one sticks, because his own agent, Drew Rosenhaus, literally said, I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Brady calls later this year and he picks up the phone and responds to it. No. This is not what I want to hear. On the day he's announcing his retirement, I don't want to hear about how he's going to unretire. Right. Don't tell me about it, Drew. I'm all set. So let's just retire right off into the sunset. Take care of yourself. You've had a long career, a lot of injuries, a lot of concussions. Just go enjoy it, man. You're still young. Go live your life. You got millions of dollars. If you don't want to, I'll do it for you. I'm happy to.
He'll go to Miami with Tom and throw the trophy around in the water again, won't he?
Yeah,
enough.
No
Come
way.
to Foxborough and sign a one-day contract and then go away. Yeah.
I hope not.
What do you got, Eric?
I think we've all been interns at one time or another. Okay. It's time to give some love, because I know Sean covered the best women's professional bowlers in the world in our area this week, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
And it got me thinking about this hat and the person who provided it to me. It's the PBA Tour. Justin was a student for me at a college. He majored in sports management. He had a super personality. I loved the kid. We'd rib each other because he wore his Yankee cap all the time. And then in that 2003 season, I tried to forget, like a bad meal. I lost a friendly free bet with him due to that playoff game. And then I had to attempt to wear his Yankee pinstripe shirt. Well, that was tough all around campus because he was 5'7", weighed less than a rosin bag, and it was a tad tight. Okay. And I even had to go to meetings on campus. The administrators knew about it. Not good. His excellent work in academics led him to an internship with the Professional Bowlers Association. So he traveled, he got to know the athletes and gained excellent experience, was a key member of that staff. It was a wonderful situation for him, and I asked him if he wanted to make it full-time, if he was provided that opportunity. And he said, EMAC, as he called me, I love the experience and working with the media, and these players are great, but no offense, it's bowling. Well, bowling provided this intern with a great opportunity, and he's doing just fine today as he founded a professional consulting firm in New York City 12 years ago. So my point here, folks, is internships are valuable for experience, and internships are valuable to sports and all companies. And to all the interns in my career and all of you interns, I tip my hat and say thank you so much.
No doubt. Listen, my internship took me to Torino, Italy for the Olympics. So I would say if you can do them, do them. They're not all going to be that good, but do them.
Yep.
All right. That's it.
That's it.
That's it, and that's all.
That's it.
It's been fun. We'll do some more of this next week. I'm going to try and get a guest for us next week, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm reading this really good book, which I'll show you here. This is one of my favorite books I've read, actually. Have I showed you this? So this is Shawn Evans, is from Galway. I'm hoping he'll join us just because I think it would be cool for him to talk about his book, which is a quick read, but it's also a fantastic read. He's a good storyteller. I'm a little bit biased because I was very much a part of their journey across America. But hopefully with him on summer break, he'll be able to pop on. So I'll work on that. If not next week, sometime soon.
All right, good.
He's a
and
cool
we
guy.
will be in Las Vegas next week. So we'll look forward to coming from our hotel room, and I can imagine what kind of hat we'll wear. Go Raiders, right?
You're literally going to be in Vegas?
I will be in Vegas, where right now it's 108. I will be in the hotel room live, at least
basking in the AC.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. All right. We'll see you next week, boys. Thanks for watching us. M&M across the board. Apple, YouTube, Spotify, Twitter. We'll post the link. Check us out.
You got it.
Thank you.
See you guys.